We are back at Sydney Town Hall for Julian Assange and everything he stands for. We know the heavily funded media and the politicians that play the game of the parasite class are not telling us the truth and are not working in the public interest. As a journalist, Julian protected his sources and made it possible to leak public interest information safely and be sure it would be published. The US government decided to use its Espionage Act to prosecute Julian as a way to discourage other journalists from doing his sort of journalism. We need to stand up for both journalists and whistleblowers in order to bring transparency to corrupt governments and corporations. Now that Julian has been freed from Belmarsh prison, the media are once again smearing his name. The public is very aware that Julian is now free, so our well-oiled messaging relating to freeing Julian is no longer relevant in the eyes of the public. We need to adjust. Our immediate task is to come up with new slogans that will again engage the public. We need new flyers and new signs, but make no mistake, the Julian Assange movement continues.
When we were in Europe, oh yes, I saw him like with his wife.
They're celebrating.
Oh, that's amazing.
We're still going whatever. We're here whatever.
Yeah. We haven't really stopped. We're going to, there is
The criminals are still calling the shots.
Yeah, I agree. We're here in Washington. We're here with our friend, I don't know what our friend up here is, but anyhow. So in Washington, the Republicans are having a huge celebration because they don't have to worry about freeing Julian Assange anymore. It's been done for them. So the Republican senators and Congress people are all having a big cocktail party. So at this cocktail party, Mr. Pompeo has made many cocktails to help Mr. Trump. Now, this is because Mr. Trump has temporarily lost the power of speech. Now, the cocktail Mr. Pompeo made consists of equal parts rum, creme de menthe, and castor oil. Mr. Pompeo has christened it a good run for your money. Now, we're starting to see Mr. Trump regaining his voice from all these cocktails, first in noises, then whispers, and then words. So now it's on to the second round of cocktails, which is equal parts lemon, sugar, and vodka, and a cup of water to make it weak. So, Mr. Trump is starting to misbehave after all these cocktails. He's robbed a bank and he's escaped with a $38,000 overdraft. To celebrate this, he's gone to a pub. He's ordered a bucket of whiskey for his horse. And the barman has asked Mr. Trump if he'd like a bit of whiskey as well, maybe not a bucket. And Mr. Trump has said no because he's driving. So moving on, we can see Mr. Trump hurling himself out of the pub. He lands on the footpath with our friend over here maybe. And Mr. Trump picks himself up off the ground and Mr. Trump asks who's been moving his horse. So moving on, we're now going to the planet Neptune. And in the planet Neptune, they have done something amazing. The wicked scientists have created a Neptunian chook, a prodigious pullet, with 2 reproductive systems which can lay 100 fake and bogus Julian Assange extradition orders in a month in each direction. So what's also interesting about this is they've found another Neptunian chook from the planet Neptune. This one lays a knobbly shaped egg with 4 yolks. It has, and this is very interesting indeed, it has 500 lawyers and 200 judges. And it also has a bottle of blue Neptunian vodka. Now moving on, Mr. Biden and Mrs. Biden can be seen in a restaurant. They're looking at the menu. Mrs. Biden is ordering all the dishes on the bill of fare. The waiter asks Mrs. Biden about the vegetables, and Mrs. Biden says the vegetable will have what she's having. Now moving on from this, we're going to this very interesting item. So there's been a survey, it's been completed, The survey shows that more people would prefer to be marooned on a deserted island with Nightmare on Elm Street star Freddy Krueger than would want to be marooned with Hillary Clinton. And lastly, we have a little bit of interesting information now. Mr. Biden, the US president, says he's freed Julian Assange because he's scared of intergalactic war. Mr. Biden says the planet Neptune and the planet Pluto have declared war on each other. Mr. Biden says he's issuing a full surrender to both combatants. And that ends whatever that was. We thank you very much for having listened to it. Don't forget, we've got a brand new campaign starting. This brand new campaign is actually saying pardon Assange. So he may be freed, but he has to be pardoned. So watch this space for pardon Assange. It's really important. While you're at it, change.org has some wonderful petitions. One of them is for David McBride. You must sign that. We have to free David McBride. There's also another one for the other whistleblower who is in trouble at the moment, and that's Richard Boyle, I think. So there's one for him. That's on change.org. And also, don't forget, there's another change.org one for Dan Duggan. Dan Duggan's important too, so you need to sign all of that. And that ends that, so thank you so much.
Welcome to the 241st Julian Assange Sydney Town Hall gathering. Julian Assange celebrated his birthday 2 days ago. Happy birthday, Julian. Thank you for the truth. Truth is our power. It is entirely plausible that the parasite class freed Julian Assange because it could see the Julian Assange movement gaining a foothold. Freeing Julian may be a last-ditch attempt at stopping the growth of conscious unity, inspired by our need to know public interest truth. We need to consolidate our important victory by standing firm. The freeing of Julian Assange is an amazing victory, worthy of great celebrations, but the fight for freedom is ongoing. On Tuesday, Stella Assange tweeted, I quote, "Julian Assange is free from prison, but the fight for his freedom and ours continues." The actions against him do not just have a chilling effect, they have a freezing effect. We will continue to secure greater freedom for Julian and justice for the many abuses against him that chills others. We still need to know the truth. We still need transparency for our government. We still need scientific journalism. We still need conscious unity for our right to be truthfully informed. We therefore still need to be engaged in the truth revolution Julian Assange has put in motion. Free the truth, free the press, and free all decent men and women. Julian's newly won freedom shows us all that persistent truth-telling unites decent men and women in the recognition that we have the ultimate authority. We must continue standing firm in conscious unity by aligning with the truth. Immunity from the influence of mainstream propaganda depends on individuals choosing to think independently. Important tenets are: know yourself, free your mind, and trust in the decency of those ordinary men and women who are truthfully informed. Julian's freedom gives us confidence that our conscious unity will lead to the freedom of humanity. The parasite class will be desperate to impede the momentum of Julian's peaceful truth revolution, but we will continue building our conscious unity. Our right to possess and publish public interest truth must be legal. Julian Assange showed us he is a superpower for the public interest. We need to keep standing firm in our conscious unity until Julian Assange is cleared of all publishing crimes and the Espionage Act is either revoked or reformed so that it can work in the public interest. The success of ordinary people in freeing Julian Assange is a shining example of men and women standing firmly on the right side of history and politicians being forced to follow their lead. We caused the freedom of Julian Assange, and now we need to stand firm because we need to free the world. The US government has no right to suppress the free speech of men and women who live and operate beyond its borders. The UK and Australian governments have no right to carry out the suppression of free speech on behalf of the US government. The US government doesn't have the right to suppress the free speech of anyone, including the free speech of its own citizens. The Julian Assange movement has been spectacularly successful in freeing Julian and bringing him home to be with his family in Australia. Yet we still have important work to do. The less reliance we place on so-called people of influence, and the more we think for ourselves, the more freedom we will experience for ourselves. We need to be led by the truth rather than by, quote, leaders, unquote. First we freed Julian Assange, now we need to stand firm and put our effort into freeing the world. Grassroots persistence powered by the truth has been proven to work, and that spells the end for the parasite class. The Julian Assange movement will continue at Sydney Town Hall every Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. in winter and from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. in summer until we are all free. We are all Julian Assange. Free, free, we must all be free. Free, free, we must all be free. Free, free, we must all be free. Thank you.
Hero sign.
A lot of women want to engage a certain age, and I'm thinking the ones in their early 40s.
You did your job very well. Congratulations.
Thank you!
No, look, I mean, he was
And he can recover, and he can, hopefully he will speak